Let us now look into heredity to understand traits. Let us know what our traits are. At the end, you will realize that their traits are something which do not change. Some of them don't change. But remember, states of minds do. Now, when I say the traits are there, they are the characteristics of an individual, they define an individual, then either they can be inherited, as in I get them from my parents, this is what we've been talking about all the time. Whereas there are some traits which an individual develops over a period of his or her lifetime. So we call them as acquired traits. Let's try to find out what is the exact difference between them. Inherited means it is inherited from my parents, from my grandparents, in my family line, in the bloodline. Whereas acquired, I acquire them, I gain them, I achieve them over a period of my lifetime, over a period of certain time. Inherited, they may or may not get expressed in the next generation. So this is pretty fine, even if it is in the family line, even it is coming down the bloodline through our ancestors. At times they may skip a generation or two. Absolutely fine. So they may not get expressed, may not be seen, which means my mother has gray eyes. I may or may not have gray eyes, but maybe my offspring might have gray eyes. So it can skip a generation and get expressed. Whereas traits acquired, they are not passed from your parents. They are not passed from your family tree. There is a genetic change. There is a change that has happened in the inherited traits, and that is why they get expressed or they don't show up. Express means they show up, and don't show up means they don't get expressed. Whereas acquired, there is no change in the genetic makeup as in the genetic being of an individual. Inherited, there is an effect of gene shifting, gene shuffling, or gene mutation. Don't dig much deeper into it, just understand some changes at the genetic level, at the gene level, can give rise to these traits being passed on, these traits being expressed in the next generation. Now, these inherited traits are helpful in evolution. Okay, they are helpful in evolution. They bring about evolution. We've seen that in the previous modules. Whereas acquired traits, they are an effect of environment. Okay, for example, let's say none of my parents sing. Okay, either of my parents don't sing, but I have an inclination towards singing. I like to listen to music, and I learn, I pursue it. Then that would be my acquired trait. Okay, okay, and it doesn't compulsorily mean if I sing, my next generation would also be singers. No, absolutely not. So these acquired traits, they really do not play any role in the evolution, okay, in the evolution of mankind. Let's take example of some inherited traits: eye color, skin tone, hair color, texture, dimples, earlobes, widow's peak, rolling tongue. I'll show you pictures of this in the coming slides. But as I'm voicing out these terms, I want you to recollect, try and find out how many of these things have been passed on from your parents to you. Okay. Whereas traits which are acquired, it could be skill, any type of skill. It could be a specific sport. It could be your interests, your hobbies, your muscles building also can be an acquired trait. Let us now look about inherited traits, and we will understand how and when that trait gets expressed. See the picture. It talks about one side being recessive, the other being dominant. Now, what is recessive? What is dominant? They are nothing but alleles. If you remember alleles, okay, one comes from each parent, they are the alleles. Let us see what the alleles do. Each gene has two alternative forms of character. which we call it as allele. One of it comes from either of parents. So one from your father, one from the mother. Each allele has the capacity to produce a different effect. Let's take example of an height of an individual. So one allele is for tallness and the other is for dwarfness. Now whether the offspring or the progeny or the next generation would be tall or medium height or short, it depends upon how the alleles have paired with each other. To understand that, let us quickly go back to the same diagram which talks about recessive and dominant trait. Now, whenever I say dominant trait, means it is the word itself tells you that it is going to express itself. The dominant trait is going to express itself. It will not allow the recessive allele to show its presence. So even if there is one component of your allele which is of recessive nature, yet that allele will not be able to express itself. Why? Because there is a dominant trait given over there. So which means the recessive is submissive and it is present, it is there, but it cannot express in front of the dominant allele. How do I represent this dominant allele? We show a dominant allele by capital letter and the same letter. So if I take capital A is a dominant allele, then small a will be a recessive allele. Example of a dominant trait which is seen in humans, more we will see in the next slide, but just an example. Curly black hair, wide eyes, these are dominant traits. Straight hair, narrow eyes, these are recessive traits. There's a condition called as homozygous condition. Okay, so in terms of height, when I say one allele or the dominant allele means capital T and the recessive allele or the dwarf allele means small t, then I can have both dominant alleles being given by my parents. So my father also contributes capital T, mother also contributes a capital T, so that makes it homozygous. It could be the other way around also, small t, small t. So if both the alleles are of same trait, tallness, I say it is homozygous. Both the alleles of the same trait, dwarfness, I still say that it is homozygous, although it is recessive. There is one more condition where I have a combination. I have one capital and one small, which means that is an heterozygous condition. Heterozygous trait means it is made up of two different alleles. Okay, but now remember, see the second point in the dominant side, that it will not allow the recessive allele to show its presence. So even if there is a heterozygous condition, even if there is a capital T and a small t over here, I will still have the individual, the progeny being tall, because one allele is for tallness and it will not allow this small t to express itself. So whenever there is a dominant trait, there is a possibility that it is homozygous or there is a possibility that it is heterozygous condition. This is how traits in humans get expressed. Okay. See the dominant trait and the recessive trait. Now I want you to go through this list along with this rolling tongue, folding tongue and hitchhiker's tongue. They all are dominant traits, and try and identify the traits that have come down in your generation to you, whether they're dominant trait or recessive trait. And if you want to compare them with your parents, you will have to really think hard and find out whether that was really dominant or recessive. So we have in the dominant side for humans, we have a cleft chin, okay, a cleft chin, a widow's peak. Cleft chin, look at the chin over here. Okay, it has a cleft over here. In widow's peak, you have on the hairline, they've got those widow's peak over here. Dimples, all of you are aware of. Black or brown hair is a dominant trait. Freckles, tiny dots on the skin, they are again dominant. Brown eyes, that's why majority of the population has brown eyes. And the ear lobes, whether the ear lobe is attached or free. All these are dominant genes which are seen in humans. So although I say that traits is what cannot be changed, but remember, no one is born with a good character, and that is definitely not a hereditary trait. So you know what to acquire for. It isn't determined by a single noble act. It is established by conscious adherence to moral values, not by lofty rhetoric or good intentions. So if you want to build up a trait, highlight the traits that will highlight your characters.